Hello, welcome to Mad About Film. Here's my review of I, Daniel Blake, and let's have a look at the trailer.
Good morning, Mr. Blake. I'm appointed to carry out assessments for employment and support allowance. Can you walk more than 50 metres?
Yes.
Can you raise either arm as if to put something in your top pocket?
Yes. Can I ask you a question? Are you medically qualified? I've had a major heart attack. I've been told by my doctor I'm not supposed to go back to work yet.
I'm afraid you must continue to look for work, or your benefit payments will be frozen.
There must be some mistake.
If you've been deemed fit for work, your only option is job seekers allowance.
Well, I want to appeal.
You have to apply online, sir.
I was a carpenter. I've never been anywhere near a computer.
So you need to run the mouse up the screen. No.
Not now.
No, not like that.
I'm just going round in circles.
I'm going to have to ask you
I'm
to
trying to explain to you a situation and you don't care. I've got about 12 quid in my purse.
Do you know what? You've created a scene, all right?
Jesus
What am I
Christ!
supposed to do?
Who's first in this queue?
I am.
Do you mind if this young lass signs on first?
No, you carry on.
This isn't your concern. I want you to get out as well.
It's a monumental farce, isn't it? Looking for non-existent jobs. And all it does is humiliate me. You've done nothing to be ashamed of. You're alone with 2 kids. You've done amazing.
I've seen it before. Good people on the street. You could lose everything.
Well, I'm not going to give up. When you lose your self-respect, you're done for.
I saw I, Daniel Blake as an offer from Show Film First, which is an online platform where you can sign up and basically see general and new films for free. So I highly recommend signing up to Show Film First. Just Google it. Essentially, I saw I, Daniel Blake with a friend, and we had 2 preview tickets, and it was really, really great to know that I'm seeing a Cannes Palme d'Or winner pretty much for free, which is why I'm giving you this review. I, Daniel Blake is a great film. A highly depressing film, but a great film all the same. Little did I know that my emotions were going to be as stirred as much as they were when I did see I, Daniel Blake. And to be honest, when I took my friend along with me, I thought like, yeah, let's go see a Ken Loach film. And we were sitting there pretty much arms crossed throughout the whole film, which kind of gives you a little bit of a gauge of how the film itself turns out. But also it was heart-wrenching and gut-wrenching, and also just emotionally inspiring. I, Daniel Blake opens with a very impersonal phone call with our lead protagonist talking to a benefits advisor, and knowing that he's been signed off work medically by a doctor and not able to work, he is obviously on the phone and getting very frustrated with the benefits advisor. He's not faced with a necessarily automated telephone system. He's actually talking to a person on the phone, but it seems like, the person on the phone itself is actually an automated system in their kind of way they're being. He's talking to a human being, but the frustration lies in the fact that people aren't people anymore, and people are just doing the services that are being instructed to do. It's a very frustrating and an interesting dilemma that he's faced with at the beginning of the film. Here is a man who struggles with the internet, who struggles with the digital age, and struggles with day-to-day life, being a tradesman in Newcastle. He really tries to struggle and make sure that he can get the benefit that he needs because he can't work, and he's getting frustrated in that sense. And on the other side, he's getting frustrated with the government and the way the benefit system is actually working for him, because essentially it's not. The screenplay is very notably direct, and it's very interesting to see Paul Laverty's writing kind of come across as this idea that we are all very frustrated with the world. I think the idea of the whole situation where the job seekers allowance people, the benefits people, are seen as these frustrated automated drones or zombies that make people's lives hell in terms of administrative processes and trying to get on with life and making the whole thing difficult. I have to admit, it's a little bit unfair in the way that the benefits offices and the job seekers allowance people are actually portrayed. Knowing that the government has put these systems in place, you have to come to some understanding that this is a narrative construct, and not all people are like this, but this is a narrative that's being told in this story for a specific purpose of highlighting the plight of the common working man. Into Daniel Blake's life comes a mother played by Hayley Squires and her 2 children who've had their lives uprooted in London and basically had an apartment given to them in Newcastle because the benefit system has failed them in the southeast region of the country. So they come to Newcastle and they meet Daniel Blake in a job seekers allowance office, and when they're trying to claim benefit, and it all kicks off basically.
There isn't anything else anybody can do today. So what I'm going to have to do is look. I think
you're going to put me in for a sanction.
I have to follow the rules. And the thing is, if you're gonna be aggressive with me, then I'm going to have to ask.
It's not about me being aggressive.
No, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
I'm trying to explain to you a situation, and you don't care.
Security.
I don't know why people like you do
Security. Referring you to the decision maker.
It's all the same thing. I don't want to read your language because it's all the same thing.
Listen, I'm sorry, look, but you're going to have to...
I don't... Yeah, all right, thank you. Take your hands off me. I'm going to speak to the manager. I don't want to speak to you.
I'm just trying to...
Sorry?
I'm just explaining
What
what's
you want me to
happening
speak
here.
to?
No,
Right, come and talk to me then if you've got something to say.
All right. I've tried to explain to the woman, I've never been to Newcastle before. We've just moved up here from London. I've been here a few days. I don't know where I'm going, OK? I was on the bus, it's gone the wrong way. We've run, got off the bus, run, so there wasn't any more late. She just don't want to know. She doesn't want to know. And now she's telling me she's going to refer me for a sanction.
What I want you to do is listen to me, OK? The lady's told you what's right. There's rules here, rules that we have to stick to, OK? It isn't against you, but you have a duty...
Listen, I'm not saying it's against me.
You have
All
a
I'm saying
duty
is,
to be here on time.
and I'm explaining to you why I wasn't here on time.
Do you know
but
what?
I got lost.
I understand, right? But what I gather now is the decision maker. The decision maker's going to be sending you a letter through the post. You're going to have to wait for that, and then you're going to...
My kids have got to start school tomorrow. I've got about 12 quid in my purse.
Do you know what?
All because you can't just calm down and listen to people when they talk.
Right,
You all
again,
have to do this.
Do you know what? I've
with
listened
your
to you.
rules.
You've created a scene. I think
I've created this... No, mate, I've created... If I was going to create a
building.
scene, you'd know about it.
You need
trust
to
me.
leave the building.
I'm sorry, look,
Okay, you need to...
are going to
This
have
is
to go.
ridiculous.
Jesus
What am I
Christ!
supposed to do?
Who's first in this queue?
I am.
Do you mind if this young lass signs on first?
No, you carry on.
There you go. Now you can go back to your desk and let her sign on and do the job that the taxpayer pays you for. This is a bloody disgrace.
The premise of the story revolves around Daniel Blake basically bonding with the mother and her two children and providing a kind of mentorship to the children and herself, the mother. It all comes to a head at a particular food bank scene, which is very, very harrowing to say the least, so be warned about that. When I watched this film, I did think of Kathy Come Home, and it kind of the idea of homelessness and living on the street, and in this film, the idea of providing for your children and also hunger and starvation, the basic needs that we need as a nation, are not being provided for by the government, and this is what this film is hammering home. It doesn't do it very subtly; it does it in your face, and it's very, very harrowing and difficult to watch at times, and the issues just keep coming and coming, and sometimes you kind of feel like could this, as a narrative construct, sometimes things need to feel a bit more real and a bit more natural. And I kind of feel like sometimes there was more premises, just layers and layers of things that were just going wrong for this couple. You kind of wanted a little bit of hope just to kind of shine through, but it never really does, which is why it's a depressing film. More importantly, the film focuses on the idea of change and the idea that people's lives have to adapt to the environments that they've been brought up in, or have the environment around them kind of forcing them into situations where they have to adapt. And that's the problem with the main premise of our protagonist, Daniel Blake. He finds it very, very hard to adapt. He finds it very, very hard and struggles through with a sense of humour, to say the least. The point is that, in this modern world, as we advance, as things get better and faster, and, the older people struggle to keep up, it's really important that we look after people. And I think that's one of the main messages that this film is trying to get across. I think the point of this film, knowing it's a Ken Loach film, is that the government are failing us. The government are trying to basically try and put in these policies, and then we're trying to kind of deal with things, especially during these post-Brexit times. But the main factor is that we need the government to be working harder for us as a nation. And I'm thinking, why not have a filmmaker like Ken Loach highlight these problems? He's the only one who could actually do it really, really well, and actually the kind of film that people actually genuinely listen to. Knowing that he'd made films in the past like Land and Freedom, The Wind That Shakes the Barley, Lady Bird, amongst others, just highlights the fact that there's a political message that's going on here, there's also a social message that's going on here, and also it's a Ken Loach drama, Paul Laverty scripted film, and at the same time you got to remember that there's a reason why this film won the Cannes Palme d'Or this year. Be far from it from me to turn this into a political rant. I'm not very politically minded myself, but I do have a strong sense of being British and also wanting to understand governmental policies, as anyone does, in terms of how it affects our day-to-day lives and paying taxes and all the rest. This film is a powerhouse. But Ken Loach, being a socialist, he totally understands the working knowledges of governmental policies. He kind of ekes out and pulls out the core root problems that are going on in this country, and also allows us to kind of digest it. That is his job. He manages to get a strong narrative construct around the ideas and actually tell us a story which is tragic and knowing and familiar and scary and political and amazing all at the same time. Admittedly, I, Daniel Blake is not a great date movie. I wouldn't necessarily take your first date to it unless he's a left-wing socialist kind of person, let's be honest, but he really wants to see this film on a first date. but what you will get is a Ken Loach film, Paul Laverty scripted, superb performances, brilliantly acted, devastating and excellent all at the same time. It's a profoundly moving film. I give I, Daniel Blake 5 out of 5. If you like that review, please like and subscribe, and if you'd like to see another review, just click here.